What up, friends? I'm James, your host. Today, I'm going to be reviewing an album by another James. James Blake, as a matter of fact. And that album is Assume Form. This is electronic singer-songwriter and producer James Blake's first record since 2016's The Color in Anything. A record that really struggled to keep my attention, and I really had to slog through that one, man. Jesus. However, after this, some of the new collaborations that he was a part of, like the King's Dead song from the Black Panther soundtrack, as well as some of the non-album singles, like If the Car Beside You Moves Ahead, they started moving in a direction that I found to be kind of interesting, something that I wasn't really expecting. As he was working with more rappers and hip-hop artists, I was wondering if that would kind of influence his new sound a bit, maybe perk it up compared to some of the last stuff that he's done. And my suspicions were correct. On this album, James Blake kind of casts aside the sadness that he felt previously, and instead he kind of turns to romance. And that, combined with his new sound influences, make for a record that was way more engaging than I could have ever hoped, and I am pretty excited about that. So, what are we talking about? Well, I'll tell you. The album starts with Assume Form, the title track of the record, one that I thought was a pretty beautiful opener. The piano is really engaging and warm, and I really like how the vocals are more up front. They're not as in the background or as noise-like as some of his previous work, especially on The Color in Anything. They're more honest and direct, and I really like that side of James Blake a lot. The lyrics are also pretty nice. They're about him wanting to find someone that makes him feel whole and to get him out of his head and actually engage with the world. And for us introverts out there, that's not something that's very easy to do, so the fact that he found someone like that is pretty awesome. Near the end of the track, there's also a string section that comes in, and I think it's a really nice touch. All in all, it's just a very warm and full sound that you wouldn't really expect from James Blake, at least judging from his earlier material. Unfortunately, the second song on the album, Miles High, it's probably one of my least favorites. Unfortunately, it is one of the collaborations with Metro Boomin and Travis Scott. Boomin's beat was something that I just could not get into. It's very basic, it's very generic, run-of-the-mill, kind of trap-flavored, and I just don't really care for it, especially combined with Travis Scott's very monotone and uninteresting flow and delivery. It was just something that could not keep my attention, and it wasn't what I expected when I first heard the very warm sound that they were going for. Even James Blake's very atmospheric and ethereal vocals in the background don't really do much for me either. The lyrics are okay. They're kind of about the turmoil of wanting to stay inside and also wanting to go out and party and meet new people, kind of an introvert versus extrovert sort of thing. So I thought that was interesting, but the main problem is just the flow and the vocals and the delivery. It's just not at all engaging. Fortunately, Tell Them, featuring Moses Sumney and Metro Boomin, again, the other collaborative track, does actually get a little bit better. The beat is way more interesting, it's a bit more experimental, and I really like Moses' delivery on his verses. It's kind of a weird combination of eerie but also warm as well. The lyrics are also about not wanting to get vulnerable with a lover. They're kind of a question of whether he wants to actually engage with this person or instead go with more of a one-night stand sort of thing. And I think Moses' lyrics and the way he delivers them kind of add to this feel as well. And I really like the contrast of Moses' more sinister vocals and also James' more melancholy vocals. I think that kind of plays off of the two, with James wanting a relationship while Moses kind of going for the more one-night stand sort of feel. So I think the combination of those two vocal styles are really interesting, and it's probably one of my favorite instances of that on the record. Into the Red is another great song, kind of a more lo-fi production with an almost music box kind of beat, and I really enjoyed that. It was kind of delicate and quaint. The lyrics are about someone in James's life that put him in place of herself, wanted to do everything for James, and he liked the fact that both of them were on equal footing in their relationship. And I think that's a very interesting concept. A lot of people talk about wanting to give everything for someone or wanting to take everything from someone, but the fact that he was very open about his admiration of everybody doing their part in his relationship, I think that was an interesting and very nice touch that you don't really see a lot of perspectives on in some of the current music today. So big ups for that one, James. Barefoot in the Park featuring Rosalia is another fantastic one. It's a very, very beautiful track. It reminds me of something that Björk would do, honestly. The contrast of Rosalia's very delicate vocals mixed with James's more electronic and rigid ones. It's very nice to hear. It's kind of a rawness as opposed to a filteredness, and kind of how that counters each other. And the lyrics are about taking traits from a lover and kind of making them your own, and how you know someone so well that you don't even really need to talk. And even though Rosalia sings in Spanish, I do think it adds a nice touch. It's maybe perhaps showing how a language barrier isn't really, or shouldn't really be, a deterrent in actually being in a relationship or something like that. So there's multiple angles that you can kind of look at this song from. But overall, the message definitely gets across, and I really like what they did with this track. It's kind of a nice, laid-back sort of tune that really captivates you when you listen to it. Unfortunately, after this, the second half of the record kind of falters a bit in my eyes. Are You in Love is one that I don't really care for either. The kind of rising and falling synth is something that kind of gets a little grating after a while, and it doesn't help when it's combined with James's more high-pitched vocals. It's not very interesting. The lyrics have an okay premise, but I don't think they were really capitalized upon all that much. And also with this one, I feel like it goes back into the Color in Anything territory, where the beat is very simple and almost non-existent, and that sort of thing is kind of aimless for me. I don't really think that this song has much of a presence, to be honest, and because of that, it brings me back to a sound that I really had to struggle to actually click with, and it just doesn't really do much for me. Don't Miss It and Lullaby for My Insomniac are also pretty good ending tracks on this album. They're not really anything special that much, but I do like the samples, I do like the piano. The lyrics are okay. They kind of do a good job at encapsulating everything that was on the album as a whole. And sound-wise, I think it's something that kind of borders on the more repetitiveness of some of his prior work, but also some of the more forward-thinking stuff that was on this album. So it's a fine line, but I think it does do a good job in capturing what the album was trying to convey. However, before we get to those tracks, we have to talk about Where's the Catch, which is by far my favorite song on the record, featuring Andre 3000 of Outkast. This song is fucking amazing, goddamn. Such an amazing and dark and electronic beat. It really counters James's more ethereal vocals as well, but also Andre 3000's delivery and flow is silky smooth. I love it so much. It's something that I wouldn't really expect from this album at all, but it works so well. The lyrics that Andre's talking about are more on the lines of wondering if the relationship he's in is right, and kind of wondering if he should even let it get to the point where it sours, because the whole song is kind of about how relationships between people sour as they go along, and wondering if you should even let it get to that point and remain closed in. The way that he does it with the more manic flows and things like that, I think it's really amazing. And the fact that James and Blake bring it back to eeriness on the bridge, it's amazing. God, this song is so good. And that's pretty much it. Overall, I really enjoyed this project. And honestly, it's probably my favorite album by him since 2013's The Overgrown. It does feel a bit aimless here and there, but some of the new sounds do help push it forward and compel it to be more interesting. And even on the low points, it feels like I'm kind of just walking through sand as opposed to drowning myself in mud like with the last album. I'm interested in hearing him develop this sound a little bit further. I think if he works to make each song have more of a presence and stand out a little bit more, I think that would help him a lot. I really like the features that he had overall on this record too. I think some features might be the way to go with a future album again. I think they add a very interesting dynamic between James's vocals. I think that they provide something that James lacks in the energy department. So by doing that, we get a lot of different vocal styles, a lot of different sounds and influences coming from different places. So I think if he keeps this up, I think there'll be a very good record coming on down the line. And even this one was pretty good. I will bestow upon James Blake Assume Form a decent 7. Very nice, Jamesy boy. Very nice. Of course, we do talk about album art on this show, so what do I think about Jamesy boy's album cover over here? Well, I really like it, honestly. James Blake's album covers have always, or almost always, had him on the cover in some way. Most of the time, he's kind of obscured or distant or something like that to kind of represent the lyrics and the more melancholy and sad nature of them. But on this one, James Blake is up at the forefront. He's comfortable. I really like the color combinations as well. His green shirt mixed with a dark purple background. I like how they didn't go with full black. It's more of a dark purple. That sort of cool combination of colors really contrasts the warmness of his face. It really draws your attention towards his face as well. And I like the pose that he's in as well. It's very relaxed. It's something that we haven't seen from a James Blake cover, or just most of his appearances in general, showing how he's actually kind of content. He's on his more romantic side now. He's dealing with some good vibes. I feel that. I like the line down the middle where they kind of repeat the picture, and I do like how we don't even have his name on there. We know it's Blake. We know it's James Blake. Come on. And the text in the middle of that little line separating the two pictures, I like how Assume Form is very small. It's also in a warm color, so it kind of draws your attention to it despite the size. Overall, it's a very good cover. And that's that. Thank you for watching. What did you think about James Blake Assume Form? I almost fucking knocked this over. Did you like it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you not listen to it at all? I don't know. I don't know what your life is like. But please tell me your opinions in the comment section down below. If you didn't like my opinion, whatever, that's okay. You can kill me later. I'll assure you I'll be around, so you can do that. But of course, anyway, thanks for watching. I really hope you tune into the next one, and until then, farewell.